Welcome back, my loves, to another episode of the Savvy Stylist podcast. I am your host, Amy Walker. If this is your first time here, welcome from the bottom of my heart and get your butt back and binge a few of these episodes. We are well into the Unleashed series of this podcast, which is really just bringing to life conversations that we are just A, not having in the beauty industry, and B, that are just kind of like taboo, unspoken, are meant to sort of shake shit up and make you look at your life and business a little bit differently. So, with that being said, I am so beyond excited, you guys, to introduce to you today's guest. Reese is someone who I met last year at an event in Montreal. And when I first found out about Reese, it was one of my mentors who was like, "Oh my God, you need to follow this person. She's like so your vibe, right up your alley, doing a lot of the similar things, but in a different industry." And from then, I'm like, I'm fangirling a little bit this morning because I've got her here with me. So, Reese is a spiritual and somatic business coach, tattoo artist, visionary brand builder. She empowers artists, healers, creatives, and entrepreneurs to build multi-million dollar brands through her body-based iconic brand method, a revolutionary approach that fuses subconscious reprogramming, somatic intelligence, and embodied leadership. By integrating psycho-somatics, self-healing, and expansion, Reese guides her clients to alchemize their wounds, shadows, and traumas while simultaneously scaling their creative empires with audacity, alignment, and unstoppable momentum. Oh my God, I love that so much. Welcome, Reese.
You. What an intro. I'm like, oh, wow. Let's hype it up.
Right? Like, let's just do it.
Do it. Thank you so much, Amy, for having me here. I'm such a big fan, and it's been such a pleasure being able getting to know you from last year, and then also just like I love that you're in like the hairstylist world, like the stylist world and everything like this. And so I just feel like it's such a creative hands-on thing. And I feel like sometimes it gets a little overlooked than other industries because we're hands deep in the mess and the muck with our clients, and it's like very one-to-one, very special, very nuanced and all these things. And we have these we are like we don't it's almost like we don't really have the time like some other kind of industries do have, because we're so in it and we're so giving of our time and our energy and our attention. And so it's like when we have people out there that are wanting to show or share a different way of being while still in these industries and how to grow both from internally and externally, it's just like it's such a treat and it's such a pleasure. So I feel so honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I really felt like, I mean, I know you do so much more than tattoo artistry, but tattoo artistry and hairdressing, they're very creative. And like you say, we're very one-on-one with our guests. And that's so special and so potent and so magical, and can be so exhausting, which is the thing that leads to the biggest conversation that I touch on, and that is burnout.
Mhm.
And it's not something that we are taught. I don't know what it's like in the tattoo industry, but
It's
it is. Right?
it's
Yeah. It's not something that anyone is taught about. You're taught the skill, how to make money to some degree,
Mhm.
how to actually do the art, perform the art, and not screw that up. But everything else is just like figure it out on your own. And
Mhm.
so we get into this hustle mentality of like more, 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 more people. That's how we make more money. And then we miss this entire piece of like taking care of the human as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that is just like a really big part of the mission in this podcast, in my whole business, but like in this podcast specifically, because it is very specifically for the beauty industry, to just shed some light about this and take it away from being like, oh, we can't talk about burnout until we're burnt out and we're like, hey, now I got to burn it all to the ground and quit and find something else to do. Right.
Mm. Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was listening to one of your podcast episodes. So Reese also has a podcast. We're like these multi-passionate creative humans. It's like I do a little bit of this and I got a little bit of this, and you can come in over here and over there. And I love it. So I was binging your podcast. A lot of the work I do in the beauty industry, I'm traveling. So podcasts are my jam when I'm on the road. And you talked a lot about in this episode about not necessarily burning out, but tapping out. So I want to dive in quickly to the conversation around burnout. And I'd love to know, in your perspective, what does that mean to you? Like, what does burnout look like to you?
So there's the burnout from Reese that wasn't aware of her subconscious, aware of her seat of self. And the way that I describe this in to creatives, to anybody that's in my world, it's like I want everybody to scale from the seat of self. I want people to scale from the soma. So soma means body in Latin, and it's one of those things where I'm like because scaling is such a soft skill. Like we all want to grow our businesses. We all want to like like create these massive transformations for people and do these wonderful, beautiful, like just create this legacy that we want to leave behind something, especially for us that are very multi-passionate, for us that we have this deep purpose. We feel it in our bodies and we're just like, I need to like get this out in some capacity. And so where burnout really leads to, especially for us that are like high achieving creatives, we're like the type that we have all these passions. We want to do all the things and we want to help all the people. And we tend to get there unconsciously because we are under feeling. So what happens is we overwork, overwhelm, and burn out because we are always up here in the head. We're always stuck in the mind, and where there's a whole other world that we're experiencing that in the body that we just don't touch on because we've been taught very um, you know, I don't want to say like masculine strategies, but definitely the way that men sell things. It's like the way that men do things, we've been taught that. And if we adhere to that, we'll be successful. The more work we do, the more successful we'll be. And that's kind of like the adage, the belief system that kind of runs on everybody's system in the world. And so in the Western world, at least. And so it's one of those things where burnout for me is where we are absolutely completely stuck in our head. We have forgotten completely what our bodies, our intuition, we are not conscious that we are having other experiences than the one in our mind and the one that our mind perceives the reality world, like the outside world. And so it's like there's one more experience we're having, it's the body, but we bypass it so much so we don't feel overwhelmed, we don't feel overworked. And when we refuse to feel those feelings, we it turns into burnout, and it turns into I want to blow everything up, and it turns into I'm not good enough, I can't do this anymore, I'm tired, I've got, and it turns into all these like unfortunate stories that kind of go on in the head, and we take it very personal. And that's why we get to the point of like I want to burn it to the ground. And so that's what basically what burnout means to me. Yeah.
When you were saying, like, when you said about the masculine, that's exactly what came to my mind, is like it's such masculine energy, and it
Yeah.
is that disconnect between like the the masculine and the feminine, but like the mind and the body, of like,
Mhm.
I have been taught I need to work harder to be more successful, and then when I'm working harder and I'm not getting more successful, then that means that I've failed, and we quit, and we disassociate from the body, like what we're actually feeling and experiencing.
Yeah.
And just like, nope, that doesn't matter. It's fine. Push that off to the side. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you work a lot with clients, like outside of tattooing, you work on the mind, body, soul with
Mhm.
clients. So
Yeah.
how do you see, is burnout something that you see happen a lot with your clients? Like, is that something that you work with?
It is and it isn't. So a lot of my clients are high achievers, so they don't see it as burnout. They're just like, "Oh, go in, go energy." And even for me, like burnout, I've never actually experienced burnout because I'm so obsessed with the work that I do. However, I do understand the experience of the nuances of it, where I'm like, I'm capped, I can't do anymore, and even if I tried, I'm going to make myself sick. And so, like, that's what would happen. My body would actually manifest sickness to get me to stop. And relaxation what I know about burnout for me and for my clients is that relaxation equals failure. Boredom equals failure. Any of these things equal failure. And if I have those thoughts going on, those beliefs in my mind going on, that is actually a sign of burnout as well. It's like, oh, I can't relax. Freedom only happens as a conditional outcome to how much I've put in. Did you put in 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours this week? Okay, now you can have a day off. Like it's only conditional to that. So burnout looks like it doesn't only, I feel like it doesn't only look like the one where you're like, I want to quit and I'm going to cry and I'm going to get on my knees and just be like, I'm done and over it. Burnout also looks like the moments in your days where you can't relax and you're just like, I refuse to relax right now. And it's so subtle. And especially for someone like I'm very type A, type a high achiever, like let's go. I've got to really check in every single day of every single hour where I'm like, where is this coming from? What's going on? And so when I for my clients and for my private work and my my places that people come in to my spaces, it's that we really the way that I look at this is that I'm always like, let's scale from the seat of self. Let's be very hyper aware. Let's be the version of us that's like so aware of our experiences and not take any of it personally. So like if my body is saying something and sensations are coming through, I'm not taking it personally, like where it's like that urgency feeling or that contraction of like, move, hurry up, or we got to make more sales, or we've got to do this or that. We got to offer this. Oh, this one person canceled. Let's do this. It's like that urgency feeling. I just notice it and I don't take it personal. Or if my thoughts are going, it's the same thing. And then even the outside world, we're all told not to take anything personally. But I think the first place to start is really just like what your sensations and emotions are happening in the body, what your mind is saying and what your thoughts are saying in the mind. If we can just learn to like separate ourselves from that, and this is where psychosomatics for me comes in because I'm not working just somatically because somatics, the meaning of somatics is just like to regulate the body. It's to regulate. Like that's the whole point of somatics. But psychosomatics is a deeper, it goes to the root cause of the psyche. And so I like to be called psycho, which makes sense because it's psycho and the psyche. And I'm like, I'm a psycho, and I am. And all of my people in my spaces are psycho. We're psycho achievers. We're like, oh, I just need to achieve things. But what we do is we actually end up learning to speak to our psyches that are having the sensations that we desire to bypass. And so we call these, so what happens is that what most people do is when they feel tired and they don't actually let themselves feel tired and they keep going, and that leads to burnout, is what they do is they've felt that in their body. And there was an experience one time in their life where they thought that that was wrong or was bad or was reprimanded or something. And they've taken that experience and they didn't complete the stress cycle. So what they did was they held onto it and told their psyche, hey, this is the thing that we're going to create to no longer feel. Like I want you to look, you're going to tell your brain to look for all the ways to avoid touching this experience and trigger and all of these things. So the brain does its job and you stop feeling your body and you stop feeling the thing and you bypass the sensation. So what we end up doing is we actually end up talking to the psyche and opening up the psyche to complete the stress cycle so that the energy can be removed, because I believe you never have to feel a day of burnout in your life and still work 12-hour days if you wanted to. And from a complete place of alignment, because of the fact that like when we release energy that we are using to hold something or to bypass or disassociate, all of a sudden we have so much free energy to utilize to put towards something that's actually going to feel really aligned, really in on the pathway of where we desire to go versus just kind of trying to keep doing what we're doing.
Oh, so powerful. Like, so I love that because and that I think is the piece that many struggle with accepting,
Hmm.
right? The
Yeah.
like how they've disassociated and really normalized that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see that a lot where they're like, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't
Yeah, well that thought process of like I don't wanna, that's a protective mechanism that hasn't completed its stress cycle. And it's like when we separate ourselves, we're like, "Oh my gosh. Hi. Wow. That's very interesting. How are you? It's like we were meeting. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I got 19 personalities. And I'm like, I really do. And I meet new ones all the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I must look crazy. Like my partner, he's so gracious and he's just like, I'm like having a moment and he's like, who you talking to now? I was like, well, I don't know. I just found a new protector in there and she's just trying to go all crazy and I'm trying to calm her down. And it's just so interesting. So when we separate it, actually, it's like, it's such a powerful sensation of freedom and liberation because all of a sudden we're looking for freedom outside of us when we're actually finding it within us. We create a reality of freedom. And that's really, I'm like, this is why I'm so obsessed with the psyche and I'm so obsessed with getting to the root cause of where it came from where this belief came from. And this can be shown to you. Your psyche will show you. You could be like in the womb of your grandmother's body. Like it shows you the most random things and or it tells you things and you're just like when you learn to separate yourself, which is like the first part I teach anybody is like separate yourself from this, from the thoughts and your sensations and get really good at doing this when you're taking out the trash, when you're washing someone's hair, when you are washing your own hair, when you're taking your kids to school, when you're, making yourself breakfast. Like notice, just separate yourself from it, but not bypass it. Just notice what's happening. It's just like having a friend there and you're just watching what they're doing. And it's like from there, that's like we can actually start to dig up and take off all the things that are not us that kind of put this construct on us that leads us to burnout because we're just misaligned. Like burnout is just misalignment. It's just like I'm not listening to my body or what my body needs and what my purpose is on this planet. I'm just doing what I've been told I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we've learned forever.
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong with that. I feel like it's like we've learned this generationally, ancestrally, and it's like, and it's so different for women, especially because, I tell my partner this all the time. He's like, the way he handles things and the way I handle things, he's like, yeah, I don't get why you handle that. And I was like, well, think about it like this. You have had freedom to own land since the beginning of time. Women only could own land without a husband since 1987. That was the year I was born. Okay, so think about that. Think about how many centuries women have been feeling the sense of like not being able to have autonomy or sovereignty and having to listen to other things outside of them, right? And so it's like he's like, okay, I get it. I was like, listen, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just we're different, and that's why we act differently. And so for women, we have this big like heavy weight on our shoulder of belief systems that like are no longer we're all shedding for each other for generate like we're doing all of us that are doing this work that are listening to this podcast are doing this work. It's like we're doing this for not just me or you, we're doing it for the collective us, we're doing it for future generation us. Like we're trying to remove all of these beliefs and it's much harder I believe for us than it is for the male side of things, but they got their own shit. So I'm not saying it's harder or easier for anybody. I think we got it good. I think I think our emotions is what makes us more powerful. So
Right. Well, like our superpowers, right?
yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
I think that's a really cool point to hit on too, is like it's not easy, right?
Mhm.
It's like, and I think that sometimes that people are looking for those quick fixes. We live in an instant gratification world, and this
Yeah.
work requires you to really devote to self and to really take the time and allow the body to go through what it is going to go through, allow what needs to come up and heal as we go. And it's not, I call it like the slow burn. It's not like this instant overnight things are going to change and you're miraculously healed and none of the past
Yeah.
traumas are there. But when I look at like even my own journey over the last 2 years of like really devoting to myself and healing and learning about me and who I am and all my personalities and all my processes, I see how it's changing the way I show up as a mom for my girls moving forward. And so, like, it's not just about the here and now, it's about the past, it's about the future. And I think that's really important to just realize that, like, it takes time, but oh, it's so worth it.
Well, I think about it like this, and this is how I kind of describe it to my clients. It's like you're not going to date someone who's short term, afraid to go deep, or like, like just they're not there. They're just like quickie. I just want a quickie. I just want to have sex really quick. I don't really want to deal with this date. Da, da, da. Like, okay, if I don't want that, then why the hell do I want my healing to be like that? You know what I mean? Like I'm my business's legacy. So it's like the I'm here for people that want to build movements that are desiring to go the distance, and like I wouldn't expect my healing to be that way either, because that's like basically telling the parts of me, my psyches, telling them that like you're not worth the time. I just want to get rid of you. And of course, the reason why they fight is because they feel like you're trying to kill them. And you're like, oh, I'm not trying to kill you. If I actually am like, no, you're my friend. I want to have a long relationship with you. Actually, and I want a relationship to evolve into a sexy love affair. And imagine operating like that every single day. And imagine how you'd show up in your business, in your life, in your family, with your partner, like all of those things. If I decided that every day I was going to have a sexy love affair with my own body, I don't want to get to the O. I want the orgasm to last. I don't want it to be like a 2 second thing and then I'm done and then like let's clean up and let's go back to work. Like no, no, but everybody wants like this liberating, slow, like lifestyle, but that also is like pedal to the metal. And so it's like I would almost be like, why would you want your healing to be slow? You want it to, yeah, or to be fast. It's like, why would you want that? Instead, like I almost love to kind of shift the mindset of like, no, we want long-term relationships. We want sexy love affairs. If I want a man and a partner that's going to be like my 30, 40-year partner, and I'm going to be in love with him for the rest of my life, and we're going to have so much adventure and so many different things, and we're going to have so much growth and all this stuff. That's the kind of relationship I want with myself.
Oh,
And so it's like I'm like I'm not here for fast, quick hit, trendy things. Like I'm like it's not for me. I'm like, but what's so beautiful about it is that once the intention is there, it happens so fast
totally.
because it's like this is my intention. I'm going to work on this every single day, just like any other relationship. I'm going to be aware of myself. I'm going to give myself the space to feel and to allow it to complete the stress cycle so that I can have more energy to the next day to spend with my kids, my dog, whatever. And then that's the beginning of your sexy love affair life.
Mm, yeah, I love, I love.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about in your episode that I was referring to earlier, you talk about tapping out opposed to burning out. What was that like? Like, what did that look like?
So tapping out for me was it- what had happened for me was that I was in a big space of validation. My whole world revolved around validation. I when I became a tattoo artist, I got really big really fast. I went on television my second year, and from that came a lot of a myriad of different experiences and adventures, both from some people would say from a good standpoint. My blew up my business, traveled all over the world, did all these things, was famous in the industry, all this stuff. And the bad, some people might say bad sides. I don't look at it. I look at everything pretty neutral. But like the bad side would be cancel culture, people hating on you, these kinds of things. And I only focused on this side. I only focused on the side that was the cancel culture. I wanted the people that didn't love me to love me. Didn't care about the people that loved me. I was like, they already love me. I need these people to love me. So I tried so hard. And what it ended up doing was at the time, even though I was traveling the world, I was highly sought after, booked out months in advance. I in my internally didn't believe I was good enough. And so I started taking tattoos that weren't mine and posting them as my own. And I got caught very publicly. And what ended up happening was that the industry canceled me. The very industry that I wanted so badly to love me canceled me. And it was so public because I was so up here doing all the TV stuff and all the things, dropped my sponsors, le- clients left, burned bridges, all of these different aspects to my business. And so it wasn't that I was burnt out. I had to tap out. I had to tap out. And I quit tattooing for an entire year. And it was the gift of rock bottom. It was the gift of my rock bottom because I wouldn't be in this position to even go down a route of what I did I started going into training of Hakomi. So Hakomi is an integrative somatic trauma therapy, and I started doing that, getting it for myself, and then I started to actually fell in love with it so much that I started to facilitate it. So this is about 10 years ago when this all happened, and I started to come back into tattooing very quietly, very slowly, and but continued to go on this healing journey. And then it became the reason why I decided to start talking about my story a lot more in the industry to tell people actually I turned my shame into my greatest power and into momentum. And it's the reason why I've been able to build a multi seven figure business from this. And the reason why I was able to go from tattooing, which was is so amazing, but no longer having to rely on it to pay my bills because of this other thing that would took me along my purpose. And now I get to tattoo for fun because I want to, not because I need to. And because of this story is the reason why I've been able to do it. And that's really because I've been able to, it's like this aspect of like the psyche and psychosomatics and everything like that. So this is where I didn't necessarily burn out, but I had to tap out because it was the only way I was going to essentially come home to myself because I was so out here. I needed to come home and I was never going to get there unless something really gnarly happened because I was just going to ride the high and do all the things fortunately it happened because now I'm in this position that I just feel so blessed to be in.
Wow. That is an incredible story
Thank you. Yeah.
about you. And I think what is so, I mean, I think what is, there's so many things that are really, really potent about that, but like sometimes, and we don't see it in the moment. I'm sure at the time that that rock bottom for you kind of landed, you were not like, ooh, this is going to be so good in 10 years. You know what I mean?
No. 10 years. Do you see? I had to see in hindsight. We only see things in hindsight.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I even look at my own life and where everything kind of shifted for me. And in the moment, that felt like my world was ending. Like, who the fuck am I if I'm not this person anymore and I don't have these things to connect to? And that was really, really scary to go through.
Mhm.
And now reflecting back, that's 5 years for me. It's like, okay, if I had never gone through that, I could not be here in the place that I'm in now doing the work that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So I think that's just like some of us listening are maybe in that like low, low place of, I'm not telling you to enjoy it. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is there's so many lessons to come from it, and what you do with that matters.
Yeah, it does. It matters. It matters so much and doesn't have to matter in the moment though. Like it never mattered until later, and in that moment all I was trying to do was regulate. I was just hyper traumatized. Hyper traumatized. And it was actually it wasn't just traumatized from that experience. There was other trauma that led me to that experience that almost just broke the lid and I almost couldn't I was trying to put the lid back on. I was trying to make this work, but it was such a good thing that this lid blew up. And it's funny because I haven't had like a sense of like rock bottom since then, but there are very hardships that feel the same way psychologically. Psychologically, we think lots of things are going to kill us. And so, like, when we pivot in business, when we decide to do something different, when we say no to people, when we put up boundaries, like these are all moments that heighten our activation in our bodies. And what we do with that activation, or how we see the activation, is like I always look at it, it's like you don't have to not disassociate. You don't have to not numb. Go numb out, go Netflix and chill. Go do the thing. If you gotta smoke a little pot, smoke a little pot, whatever it is, like go do your thing. But just be there with the intention that like even if it's saying it once a day in the morning, being like, whatever I'm going through right now, in hindsight, I know this, I'm gonna look back at this and be so proud of me. And that's it. Like, and that is literally the only thing I said. And I didn't believe it at the time. I was like, I know what I'm going through. in hindsight, I couldn't believe it for myself because I believed I deserved every single mean thing and hateful thing people were saying about me because I did make a big mistake. I own that, it was like a horrible thing. And I understand who I was when I did it, and I understand that part of me, and I love her so much, and I don't reject her ever at all. And it's at the same time, it's like, of course, at the time I was still rejecting her in that moment. I was still rejecting myself. And so it's really tough not to feel shame whenever you hit a rock bottom. And so it's never not to not feel the shame. I almost am like, go ahead and feel as much as you can, but if you have to numb out, go for the numb out. Like, do the thing, especially when we're that deep. And then it gets easier and easier and easier over time. But just like, I'm like, I know in hindsight, I'm going to be so grateful for this. And I know this is going to do something. But I couldn't see it. I couldn't
No,
see it.
at the moment you can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the other piece for that really stood out for me, and this is a another big conversation that I have in the industry, is like, you were so focused on those who didn't love you.
Yep.
And we do that in this industry of like, okay, I don't care what like I love to do. I need everybody to come to me. I need
Mm,
all of the people who don't yet know my magic and my work and the art that I can create to come and like, yeah, that's great. I've got all these people over here, but like they're good. And we focus so much on really outsourcing our energy, I feel like. And
mm.
that to me leads a lot of the times to what we're talking about, to this having to tap out because we're selling ourselves short. We're selling ourselves out for work and people who don't light us up and who don't value us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so interesting because when we do focus on the other side, we focus on the part that's like, no, I need these people to like me or these kinds of things. What's so funny is that oftentimes like that for me wasn't necessarily the clients. It was the people in the industry. And I'm like, you could logically try to tell me and justify, Reese, those people aren't paying your bills. But there is this part of this desire, as any human innate feeling, it's a foundational root. Desire is to just have like, um, to have community, to have unity. And it's so interesting because when you're like, oh, why am I looking for unity outside of me? There's this aspect where we logically understand and intellectualize the idea that everything comes from inside. We're aware of this, but awareness sometimes becomes the point where it's like, where is awareness kind of blocking you? Where you're like, no, I know I should be focusing on the inside. No, I know this and that. And it's like, why? So for me, when it comes to like tapping out, burning out, I'm looking at this from the perspective of like, okay, if I'm so focused on anything outside of me, what am I not giving myself inside of me? And oftentimes it's just like, I don't believe in the power that I have. I don't believe that I am capable. I don't believe that that my magic is actually magic. It's like we intellectualize that in our head because that's what we think we were supposed to say. But like, what's the truth about what we really feel about ourselves? And if we really want to you want to go the fast track, let's just be honest and take responsibility of how we actually feel about ourselves and be like, and not take that personal and then being like, oh, okay, this is actually who I believe that I am. And that's really sad. And I'm so sorry. It's like, this is where we get to actually like, be, oh my gosh, like I didn't know. That's how I felt about myself. Everybody else is telling me that I should feel this way. So I'm going to tell myself I feel this way. And of course I feel this way. And let's justify it, this feeling this way. And then we wonder why we're so exhausted at the end of the day. It's because we're trying so hard to put on like a performance. And it's like, we can let go of that. Like just being like, I love my people. I love the people in my world, but I also love me the most. Then I'm going to actually completely bypass any kind of burnout or exhaustion that's ever going to come my way because I know how to let me more.
So cool. So good. Okay, we have to talk about one more thing before we wrap this up today.
Let's do it.
People are like so incredible at diversifying and bringing money into your business in so many different ways, but there is something really unique about the tattooing that you do. So, can you first just tell us, like, as a tattoo artist, what is your jam? Like, what do you love to tattoo the most? And
Yes.
I had the pleasure of getting a Reiki infused tattoo at As She Rises last year.
That's
And
right.
I think it's just so fascinating. And I think that in the creative industry, period, we really need to start to open our minds as to how we can work smarter, not harder, ways to bring more money into our business that are super unique. And this is super friggin' unique. So
Yeah. Yeah.
tell us
Um,
about this.
I have a gift of turning all my passions into profit. Like I have a gift for that, and I'm very good at at just seeing like, okay, how can we monetize this thing?
Yeah.
So number one, my first love, my first one, like my like being when I was a painter, it was, I've been an entrepreneur for like 16 years now. So painter, then tattooer, now coach. Like it's like such an interesting thing. And I consider myself more a mentor than a coach, but it's like one of those things where like I started off loving my favorite thing in the world to tattoo on people, period, is warrior women. I just love a warrior woman. I specialize in realistic portraiture and just abstract background. So I call it like abstract realism. I just made that up. I'm like, yeah, let me make this up. This is the style that I have. And I feel like that's really important too. It's like make something sound new where people were like, "Oh, I do surrealism." And I'm like, "No, I do abstract realism." And people are like, "That's the same thing." I was all, "No, it's not because it's my and then like
Totally.
it's like I it's it's just naming it your own thing. I think it's so interesting that if you just make something new that's not actually new, but you make it your own and it's new, it somehow hits different. So that's, I think, a big part of like the strategic aspect to things. So abstract realism was a big thing. And then when I started going on my healing journey, when I was on like I call it more of an expansion journey than healing because it's like you're expanding always, and that's like activation, expansion, ascension. And so um, when I was on that journey, I started to get into energy healing work, and I started to realize that, like, I was like, you know what? I really obsess over having these somatic sessions, intentions, and energies that we can utilize within the process of tattooing, because tattooing is like it's such an expansion process because of the fact that you're literally changing the way that you look forever. And so, I mean, you can only imagine what I look like without any tattoos on my throat. It's like you can't unsee that. And so when I think about this, it's like, I started to realize that like tattooing was so much deeper than just a tattoo. And when I realized the expansion of the conversations I was having with the hundreds of people, even thousands of people that I've tattooed over the years, it's like, I realized that like everybody's always looking for this next level self-expression or to release something that's old into coming into a new. It's always like a death and rebirth in this process. And so for me, it's like that's what I really wanted to create the intention in, and with understanding like how energy works and frequencies, and just like both from like a nervous system perspective and also just like um just like it's mind, body, soul experience that we're doing here. And so I started to offer more different offerings where I would have somatic sessions, like Reiki somatic sessions with my clients. We would come up with an idea of a tattoo, and then we would infuse their intention and energy into that. And so anytime that they ever looked at that tattoo, they would actually feel like heat energy radiating off of the tattoos. It's just a reminder as to what they've committed. And this is a big declaration because I believe that, well, it's not a belief, it's science. I can't say that, it's science. Someone else believes this, and now it has been true. It's been made true. But the thing is that you can't shift an identity, a belief system in your body without action, without being witnessed or it being public. So there needs to be a declaration after. You can say, I'm thinking positive thoughts. You can heal all the different belief systems, but if we don't take action as as that version of ourselves that we know we are meant to be, as that like $1 million visionary creative artist out there that is here to make big moves and create a $1 million movement, and we don't take action on that after we've done it, It's like first I feel the trigger, then I let the trigger be felt. I complete the stress cycle. Now I step into my $1 million self, and what's the next step as my $1 million self? So once we take the next step, that for me is like could be a tattoo. And so that's your next step. That's you solidifying it into the universe. That's you saying, this is the only pathway I'm taking. And so there's that aspect to it. Now, of course, like once I started doing that, then it became, wow, I'd really love to teach more of this because this is all I talk about to my tattoo clients. And so, of course, I started to create. The one thing that I teach heavily into, especially for creatives, is because a lot of times we have a full-time job. So the way that I look at this, and a lot of people that do desire to teach and help and impact on a larger scale, this I call it scaling from one to one to one to many, is through online programs. And so creating one to many programs and courses and offers that allows people to come into your spaces that you can scale your business, scale your income. And the first time I had done this, I remember I was working 5 days a week. I was running a shop, 3 artists underneath me. I had an apprentice. And so I was capped out at the amount of people I could take on. So I started building courses, and that was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is that next level. And so this is kind of, I feel like that next step for a lot of creatives, a lot of multi-passionate creatives who desire to impact a lot of people, that this is that next step that they go to. So then that's where that comes from. Yeah.
Love it. It's so cool. I love
Yeah.
all of the work that you're doing, Reese. You are
Thank
just
you.
such an incredible human. And I am so grateful that you are in my world in one way or the other.
Yes.
It's been such an incredible conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, we could probably go on and on and on.
Forever, forever.
Reese, how do people connect with you?
Yes, I am the Art of Reese across the board. You can find me anywhere the Art of Reese, pretty much tattooing, psycho-somatics, scaling your business, all the fun stuff. And yeah, just find me there.
Your podcast is Mind of Reese, right?
The podcast is The Mind of Reese. You can still find it under the Art of Reese, though. So
Okay.
yeah, it's so funny. I'm like the Mind of Reese. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's what goes on in that mind of mine.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. This has been such an incredible conversation. Friends listening, if you took anything from this, which, oh my gosh, there's got to be like 1,000 nuggets you've got out of this already, go over to Instagram, follow Reese, let her know what you loved, and reach out if you feel like this is work you want to explore further. She's an incredible human. Are you going to be at As She Rises this year?
I am actually going to be speaking this year, and I will be tattooing, of course.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm really excited, and this is my third year. I probably won't ever stop, as long as as long as they'll have me, essentially. It's like it's probably one of my absolute favorite conference women conferences that I have had the pleasure of going to. And trust me, I get hired a lot to tattoo at women conferences. And so let me just tell you, it is my absolute favorite. Casey's freaking amazing. And everybody that goes there, you, Amy, like the people that get invited to that space is just, I'm like, and it's so funny because I've literally just like recently been doing some, and I'm like, yeah, no, Ash, she's got this. This is the place. Like, these women in this space they're so bad at and so genuine and so beautiful and so authentic. I just love it. So, yes, I'll be there.
Awesome. Amazing. Okay, my love. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Has been another episode of The Savvy Stylist. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day. Mwah.